told her that he hopes my baby die and that he don't want my baby children. And that's something that came out of her mouth. Now she want to stand here and try to, but everything that I know that he said about me, mostly she told me. My daughter around his other kids, that came out her mouth.
He was drunk.
I was drunk and passed out. You took advantage of it.
He woke me up. Let's talk about that. Somebody taking me to the car and talking to me and reached over and kissed me. I'm like, excuse me, I have a boyfriend.
We ended up sleeping together. We met over a date night. No, I didn't take her out to dinner. One day I told her I was going on lunch. We ended up going back to the room. Her wedding ring fell out of pocket. Yeah.
Wait, what? The room's buzzing as we kick off with the case of Brown versus Rutledge and Rutledge. It's about the paternity of a little kiddo named Sania, with Ms. Brown all set to prove Mr. Rutledge is the dad, because according to her, every kiddo needs a pair of parental units. Strap in, folks. This is just the appetizer.
Ms. Brown, you say the only thing that matters to you today is the future of your one-year-old daughter, Sanaya. You state you're here to prove the defendant, Mr. Rutledge, is her biological father because she needs two parents, yet he's seen her only once in her life.
So here comes Ms. Brown, dropping the bomb that Mr. Rutledge has got to be the daddy because, well, they had a bit of a rendezvous that she reckons led to baby Sania. She's super sure about her timeline, like no other dudes were in the picture. Keep your socks on, because things are about to get twisty.
Me and Mr. Rutledge, we had sexual relations, things like that. My doctor told me that I conceived May 25th, which was Memorial Day, which I was over there at his mother's house. She left to go to a cookout and did not have sex with anyone else around that time. Now, yes, before me and Mr. Rutledge got serious.
Oh boy, Mr. Rutledge isn't buying what Ms. Brown's selling. He throws in a curveball about her past flings with his relatives, painting a messy love web. This bit has the audience dropping their jaws and grabbing their popcorn. You think that's spicy? Just wait till what's next.
Well, first of all, me and Ms. Brown was never in a relationship. It was only sexual relationship. I met Ms. Brown she was seeing my cousin, they was dating for a while. After they broke up, they split up, whatever. She got with my other cousin, had a one-night stand with him. The product from him got with my brother.
Ms. Brown claps back hard. She's like, if I'm such a hot mess, why the heck did you hit the sheets with me, huh? This is where the audience can't help but holler, because let's face it, that's some soap opera level drama. But hang tight, because the roller coaster's just getting a good run up.
Felt that I had one night stand with his cousin or his brother while we turn around and have unprotected sex. He knew how I was, he knew everything before, any started even messing with each other because we had mutual friends, we were around each other. He had a chance to get to know me and everything, and as you can see, he still decided to have contact with me, so I couldn't have been that much of a bad person that he said.
Now it gets real. Ms. Brown spills the beans about first telling Mr. Rutledge's sister she's preggers before breaking the news to him. He's all for a paternity test because, surprise, he's not sold on the daddy title yet. Buckle up, this baby drama ain't slowing down.
When you found out you were pregnant, you told Mr. Rutledge.
I told his sister first, Mrs. Rutledge.
How did that conversation go?
I told her I was pregnant. She, she kind of was in shock and stuff, and she just let me know, like, if you decide to keep this baby, it's a chance that you're gonna go through it by yourself, because he does have multiple children.
Take a deep breath, because here they go, digging into their post-baby making saga. Mr. Rutledge is all about that DNA proof, while Ms. Brown's getting fired up over his dodging dad duties. It's about to get even juicier, so keep your eyes peeled.
First of all, it was never about the baby. It was all she wanted to be with me. She don't care whether the baby mine or not.
No, his sister, Mrs. Rutledge, there when I had the baby, she was there like every day while I was in the hospital. She was there. He told her that he hopes my baby die and that he don't want my baby children. And that's something that came out of her mouth. Now she want to stand here and try to, but everything that I know that he said about me, mostly she told me. My daughter around his other kids, that came out her mouth.
It's getting heated now. They're both slinging mud about who said what, and some pretty gnarly accusations are flying. It's like watching a tennis match where every serve is a scandal. And guess what? The next serve is a doozy.
Not just what transpired during this time, but also the fact that, and he knows it's a possibility he could be the child's father. Your concern is he hasn't come around.
I don't expect him, he doesn't have to go through me to see her.
I was the one who told her she had no business dealing with him, being that he already had 5 kids, 4 different baby mothers. He already knew that. I'm the one who told her that. But you're away from my brother.
Boom, the results are in.
It has been determined by this court that you are her father.
What? Now what? What y'all gotta say now? Y'all gotta say now. Exactly.
Can you believe this guy? Mr. Webb spills the beans that Mrs. Force ghosted him while he was out cold in a hospital, only to pop up pregnant by either him or her hubby. This wild opener sets the stage for a messy drama about who the daddy is. Buckle up, it's about to get even crazier.
Mr. Webb, you have been waiting 2 years for this day. You claim the defendant, Mrs. Forrest, left you for dead only to find out once you got out of a coma that she was pregnant and that the baby could be her husband.
Hold the phone, did she just admit that? Mrs. Forrest Force just casually mentioned that she and he were an item, protection-free, stirring up major paternity puzzle vibes. It's a crucial plot twist because now he might actually be the father. You gotta hear what he throws out next.
My husband got in some trouble and I ended up meeting Mr. Webb through one of my friends. We hit it off. I ended up leaving Mr. Forrest for Mr. Webb.
So you began a sexual relationship.
Yes.
Were you using protection at the time?
No, Your Honor.
All right.
Oh snap, the plot thickens. He isn't buying Mrs. Force's story. He's convinced there's more to it because money kept vanishing and she was home late from work. Sounds like he's got a Sherlock Holmes hat on, doesn't it? Stick around. The tea is just starting to spill.
Because she was working at the time, some of her check would be coming up missing every time she would get paid.
No.
She would get off at 10 o'clock. It would take at least 15 minutes to get home, but she would come in at 11 to 11:30.
It took about 45 minutes from where I was
So
working.
it was missed time and missing money, where she was MIA.
Wait, what just happened? Just when you thought it couldn't get more soap opera, Mrs. Force admits she ditched him for her old beau while he was fighting for his life. The drama level just hit the roof. The emotional roller coaster isn't slowing down anytime soon.
I'm sure there were some feelings because you had gotten back with your husband while he's fighting for his life.
I've loved Mr. Webb at the time, but we were...
You loved him.
Well, I mean,
When exactly did you realize you were pregnant?
the middle of September. I didn't know at the time I was pregnant.
This is getting good, folks. They're now bickering about when she actually got pregnant. Dates are flying around like confetti, and it's crucial for nailing down who the real father is. Watch closely. The plot's about to thicken even more.
In August, whenever she found out that she was
No.
pregnant.
No, it was not.
There's
It's not
a
true.
month discrepancy. You say September, you say August. When you got the news, did you immediately, you're the father?
Well, she had told me ahead of time that I may not be the father, but there was a chance that I was father.
Drama alert. Mrs. Force dropped a bombshell that she didn't even tell him about their kid popping into the world. It's a major game changer because it makes you wonder why she kept it under wraps. The next twist is a doozy. Don't miss it.
He wasn't there for the birth. Why wasn't he there for her?
The reason I have not been there, Your Honor, I had got an email on Facebook from my aunt that Miss Forrest had a link.
You didn't hear from Miss Forrest herself.
Not at first.
You heard through your family.
I messaged his mother on Facebook and told her when I was going to the hospital and everything. Him or his family knew. Nobody showed
Nobody
up.
showed up.
You're not ready for this. Mrs. Force admits she's been playing gatekeeper, keeping him away from Elena because she fears he might snatch her away. Talk about trust issues. The explanation coming up is key to understanding her side of the story.
Yeah,
So
her
you
back.
admit, Miss Forrest, that you've been blocking Mr. Webb from seeing
Yes.
Elena.
He wasn't there. I had a difficulty labor. I had a seizure and I had to go.
But I'm saying, if you informed family because you believed it was a possibility he could be the father,
proved-
why wouldn't you give him an opportunity to see the baby?
He proved he didn't care about
If
not
he
being
wants
there.
it.
He told her he did not care.
Grab your popcorn, this is gold. He had to resort to stalking his maybe daughter via a fake Facebook profile just to catch a glimpse. If that's not desperation, I don't know what is. The court's gonna weigh in soon, and it's juicy.
When I
I
talked to
have
him
had
and told him I
to
was
create
pregnant.
a fake Facebook account just to see pictures of Elena.
If you thought it was a possibility that could be her
They have
dad
all been
for
under
2
his
years.
thumb. He wants me to come 45 minutes from where I live to his mother's house. I'm not comfortable going alone with my daughter to his
For
house.
45 minutes? You're not comfortable going with you to see?
Tearjerker alert. His heartache is real as he talks about missing out on 2 whole years of Elena's life. It's super sad and makes you feel for the guy. Brace yourselves. The big reveal is just around the corner.
You just feel like you've missed out on 2 years.
Yes, Your Honor.
And until the DNA comes back showing that he is the father, he will not see her. I'm sorry, that's just the way I feel.
Miss Forrest's idea or yours?
This is mine.
That's what I thought. So I think it's time we go to the results. It's time.
Here comes the bombshell.
It has been determined by this court that her biological father is Mr. Webb.
So here's the scoop as Mr. Crawford spills the beans. In an emotional confession, Mr. Crawford admits to previously denying paternity because frankly, fatherhood sounded like too much work back in the day. He expresses deep regret over the lost years and aims to prove that Ms. Liggins is indeed his biological daughter. His sister's right there with him, crossing her fingers and hoping to tie up this family drama once and for all. Stick around because the story's about to thicken.
Mr. Crawford, you say as a young man, you were not ready for the responsibility of being a father and denied paternity of Patricia Liggins. After 35 years of living with denial and regret, you are here with your sister. Prove Ms. Liggins is in fact your biological daughter.
You could cut the tension with a knife when Ms. Liggins stepped up. Ms. Liggins, looking both skeptical and a bit peeved, confronts Mr. Crawford right there in the courtroom. She's baffled, really, because Mr. Crawford's name was never tossed around at family barbecues or anything, which makes his sudden dad claim pretty fishy. The weight of her lifelong confusion and bouncing around in foster care pours out in her words. Oh, and just you wait, it's about to get juicy. juicier.
I would have to say he's not my father because I've never heard of him in my life. It's been 35 years. No one in my family, not even my auntie Linda, so I'm surprised that she's here saying that he's my father. My mother, not once has she ever mentioned him. I talked to my great aunt. No one close to me has ever heard of him because I grew up knowing that another man was my father.
And then, bam! Ms. Liggins drops a truth bomb. The courtroom tension skyrockets as Ms. Liggins vehemently denies knowing Mr. Crawford from a can of paint, flashing big time with her aunt's earlier chit-chat. This contradiction lights up all kinds of family secrets, like a Christmas tree, which has turned Ms. Liggins' life and identity into a real puzzle. Buckle up, because there's more drama just around the corner.
Ms. Shaw, as you listen to your niece, she almost can't believe that you're on this side of the aisle saying you believe Mr. Crawford is her biological father.
And first of all, I told China about her father.
That's a lie. I've never heard of this man in my life.
I'm not gonna lie to Your Honor, because I know him in the court of law. They told her father was dead. Why she didn't pursue to look for him.
As Mr. Crawford lays down his side of the story, everyone's all ears. He dishes out details about the hit-and-run nature of his fling with Ms. Liggins' mom, which apparently wasn't much more than a brief spark around the 4th of July fireworks. His candid chat about their fleeting hookup paints a picture of the mess that followed and the tangled web of relationships that just got messier. And guess what? The real kicker is coming up next.
Why it took so long? Her mom and I, we wasn't together. We was out celebrating on the 4th of July, and we ended up just being together. One time, after that, I haven't seen her mother anymore until she had a baby came around, and I said, who baby? She said, yours. I said, no, I don't think so.
It's the doubt.
You were intimate with her mother, but you all weren't in a committed relationship.
I get together.
So you had a sexual encounter.
Yes.
The room is on edge, folks, as the moment of truth approaches with the DNA test results. As the court session inches towards its climax, the envelope with the DNA results is practically burning a hole through the judge's bench. Ms. Liggins shares her mixed bag of feelings, steeling herself for whatever name might pop up in the daddy column, while reflecting on her tough-as-nails life without a pops. The envelope's about to be cracked open, and boy, is it a doozy.
It would be nice, but I've already created the shell. Just accept it for what it is. So I don't want to get my hopes high, you know, and if he's not my dad, I have to go back to living how I already was living without a dad. So I'm just going to say he's not my dad.
But if he is, we're coming through that shell. Come on.
She has to be broke.
Hold on to your popcorn, because here comes the bombshell.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Crawford, you are not the father.
Man.
Sorry.
I'm so sorry.
Buckle up, here's a doozy. Mr. Horn throws it back to a wild weekend from 3 decades ago, dragging him into court today to challenge whether he's the daddy of Ms. Mannion's 29-year-old son, Andrew. He's pretty convinced that today's DNA test will slap a big "not the father" label on him. Just wait till you hear what Ms. Mannion has to say next.
Mr. Horn, you had a wild weekend 3 decades ago and now find yourself in court to prove that you are not the biological father of Ms. Mannion's 29-year-old son, Andrew. You will meet him for the very first time in a moment. Say today's DNA test will prove you are not his dad.
Just when you thought it couldn't get spicier, Ms. Mannion stands her ground, insisting that Mr. Horn is definitely the biological father of her son. Despite the one-night carnival they had 30 years ago, she remembers everything like it was yesterday and is sure about Horn's fatherhood. Brace yourself. Mr. Horn is about to drop a bombshell.
Ms. Mannion, you admit to this wild weekend of sex, but claim you have no doubt Mr. Horn is your son's biological father.
You won't believe this bit. Mr. Horn talks about a jaw-dropping phone call he got out of the blue, claiming he might be Mr. Hate's dad. Cue the family drama and accusations flying faster than a popcorn kernel in hot oil. It's about to get even wilder as we dive into the party where it all started.
And that kind of rung a bell. Told me that she got a phone call from Mr. Hate saying that I might be his father. I got the phone number from my family member, and I called Mr. Hate. Kind of told him, I was like, you do know how your mom is. I mean, she's like a railroad, been laid all across America.
Your Honor,
So
that is a
there's
lie.
So it was your opinion that Ms. Mannion had been promiscuous?
Yeah.
Hold on to your popcorn. Mr. Horn narrates his version of the fateful party night where he supposedly met Ms. Mannion. According to him, it was all a blur of booze and hazy memories. Mannion fires back, insisting she remembers the events clearly. Up next, she lays out her side of the story, and it's a real kicker.
We are at a party on the weekend at an apartment complex of a buddy of mine. She showed up. I didn't really have a clue who she was. We started chatting. She kept coming on to me. She was a friend of mine's girlfriend or dating. They were dating or whatever. He was in California. She kept coming on to me. The more I drank quite a bit, passed out. I woke up to the best alarm clock ever.
No!
Grab your soda for this plot twist. Ms. Mannion paints a vivid picture of the night she believes led to Andrew's conception. She talks about their fleeting weekend romance that, according to her, was definitely memorable. Fasten your seatbelts because Mr. Horn is about to make some wild accusations.
He was drunk.
I was drunk and passed out, and you took advantage of it.
He woke me up. Let's talk about that. Somebody taking me to the car and talking to me and reached over and kissed me. I'm like, excuse me, I have a boyfriend. I only slept with Mr. Horn twice. That night and one the next day.
You basically moved on. You guys did not start a relationship. You didn't keep in touch. It was none of that.
Not even close.
Things are heating up. In a fiery retort, Mr. Horn denies all paternal claims, using some choice words to describe Ms. Mannion's past antics, which lights up the courtroom with gasps and murmurs. But hold on, the drama isn't over. Andrew's about to make his big entrance.
I call it like I see it. She's a hoe. There's no way I could be the dad.
Ms. Mannion, once you realized you were pregnant, did you immediately think it was Mr. Horn's child?
No, I did not.
You thought it was someone else. And that's the man that you had tested.
I did not pay for it. His family did.
Did you bring copies of the DNA testing results?
I did not get the results.
Here comes a major player. Andrew steps into the courtroom and shares his confusing childhood saga, growing up with his grandparents, and then his mom and her husband. His story will tug at your heartstrings. And just wait till he spills the beans on the DNA drama.
Who did your mother lead you to believe was your biological father from the beginning?
I was with my grandparents for the first 5 years of my life. I considered them my mom and dad, and I kept calling her Christina. I ended up going to live with her at the age of 5, and she was married at the time. Assumed that he could have been the father at that time.
Now, this is juicy. The court learns that another dude was initially on the hook as Andrew's dad and even signed the birth certificate. Plot twist, the DNA test said no, but Ms. Mannion never saw the results herself. Andrew's about to drop some heartfelt truths next.
The other guy did sign the birth certificate because he believed also that he was the father. I'm sorry, Your Honor, my son's last name is my maiden name.
Name of the father on the birth certificate, is it the same name of the man that had the test
He signed the birth certificate before the test was done.
Mr. Horn, you don't seem like you believe in this.
Is anybody actually in here believing this crap?
Grab a tissue for this heartfelt moment. Andrew lays it all out, hoping Mr. Horn is his real dad, and talks about the emotional roller coaster he's been on. He's open to keeping the connection regardless of the DNA results. We're moments away from the big reveal, and it's going to be epic.
Other than a picture on the internet when I found the information, my grandmother lost all the information that he gave her. Did investigative work myself to find him.
And we've been talking for the last 5 years. We have. The kid, I hate to keep calling him a kid because he's almost 30.
And here's the moment we've all been waiting for.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Horn, you are his father.
Thank you.
All right, folks, buckle up. Miss Tucker rolls into court, guns blazing, ready to sue Miss Mosley for a cool $3,800 over some Social Security benefits she claims are connected to her son, Kyundra, who she reckons was fathered by Miss Mosley's late son, Eric. You thought your family reunions were awkward. Just wait till you hear what's next.
You're also suing Ms. Mosley for $3,800 in Social Security benefits. Ms. Mosley, you tragically lost your son, Eric, a little over a year ago. Now you say you barely had time to grieve. Miss Tucker is coming after you for money. Furthermore, you claim she's not the first woman to try to pin paternity on your son, and you have proof he did not father little Kyundra.
The plot thickens. Miss Tucker puts her chips all in, swearing up and down that Eric Andrews has gotta be her kiddo's dad. She spills the tea on their kinda sorta maybe relationship, stressing how much more she was hanging with him than with another guy.
From the time that me and Mr. Andrews was together, it wasn't on no relationship type, it was just that we was just messing around. When I met him, I did have a boyfriend, so I was sleeping with 2 people at the same time, but it was more frequent with Mr. Andrew. When I met him, I remember the exact date as if it was yesterday. I met him February the 6th. It was on my best friend's birthday. I actually have a calendar that I can actually show you too as well.
Cue the suspense music. Miss Mosley isn't buying what Tucker's selling, throwing shade with tales of past ladies who tried to pin their babies on her son. She's here to clear the air, and oh boy, you'll want to stick around for the juicy bits coming up.
Your Honor, I'm here today for answers. I tragically lost my son, my best friend. I wear him on my heart every day, everywhere I go. And I just come to court today for answers.
This must be very difficult.
Hold the phone. Miss Tucker breaks down the timeline of her flings with Mr. Andrews like she's plotting a treasure map. She claims the dates line up just right with her pregnancy. But don't go anywhere. The courtroom's about to turn into a soap opera.
I went to Mr. Andrews first. Told him first, like, hey, look, I'm pregnant or whatever, so what are we gonna do? Actually, before I even went and took the pregnancy test, he was the one that made me go take it, because before he said, hey, you're pregnant. I'm looking like, did he tell you anything?
Your Honor, my son told me nothing. I found found out of Miss Cleo Tucker's pregnancy through his friend.
In a twist no one saw coming, Eric chimes in from behind bars, totally denying he's the baby daddy and calling Miss Tucker wild. If you thought that was a bombshell, wait till you see what's thrown into the mix next.
First of all, he was incarcerated at the time. On this particular day that I found out, when he called, I got on him. I was like, Eric, what's going on? Are you about to have another child? He said, Mom, she is wild. She performs private parties.
Miss Tucker isn't having any of Eric's denial. She fires back, claiming he was all up in her business during the pregnancy, checking in and even wanting ultrasound pics. Fasten your seatbelts. We're diving deeper into this telenovela.
He would call just like Mr. Andrews would. I'm like, hey, you know, let me come with you. Let me come to the doctor's appointments with you. Let me see. I want to be a part of this too, but I was too stuck in my feelings and I was like,
you were angry and upset and hurt. At the birth, no one's on little Keandre's birth certificate as father.
No, Your Honor.
After her baby arrives, Miss Tucker finally gets a hold of Miss Mosley, leading to a super awkward and delayed meetup with Mr. Andrews. Things get complicated, and you won't believe the curveball that's coming next.
After I had my baby, that's when I got in contact with Miss Mosley. We on the phone. She's like, oh, nice to meet you. She heard about me through the friend that was, and I told her about Keandre. She said, well, Mr. Andrews just got out of jail or whatever. And I was like, okay, let me try to contact him so he can come spend time with Keandre. Never happened. It took him 3 weeks to come see my baby. This is a newborn baby. He was angry and frustrated with me. When he was incarcerated, I wasn't.
Miss Tucker isn't just here to chat. She's got receipts. She whips out a detailed list of baby expenses to justify why she's shaking Miss Mosley down for cash. You think this is wild? Just wait till the DNA results drop.
So that would be $200 a month for 19 months, and so $3,800. Do you have any receipts? Have you participated at all, child, in terms of care?
Without proof, why would I? When a young lady comes up to me claiming to be pregnant by my son and he's gone, the only way to prove that is through DNA.
Everyone's on the edge of their seat as the judge reads out the DNA test results, and boom.
It has been determined that Mr. Andrews is the biological father.
Buckle up. Mr. Johnson spills the beans about his fling with Ms. Walters while he was out and about for work. He's quick to admit the hookup, but totally denies that he's the daddy of her 2-year-old daughter, Amber, calling Ms. Walters a bit of a trickster. Just you wait for what's next.
Mr. Johnson, you admit you engaged in a sexual relationship and then while you were traveling for work, but deny her claims fathered her 2-year-old daughter, Amir, because you say Ms. Walters is a shady manipulator.
Here we go again. Ms. Walters is all kinds of tired of Mr. Johnson's denial game. She's adamant he face up to being Amir's dad once the DNA proves it, totally set on getting him to recognize his own kid. Strap in because it's about to get even juicier.
Ms. Walters, you say you are fed up with Mrs. Paternity denial and want him to step up to the plate when you prove to him that Amir is his daughter.
Oh snap. Things take a wild turn when Mr. Johnson drops a bombshell that Ms. Walters' wedding ring popped out during a cozy moment, revealing she's married. This throws a wrench in the whole story and cranks up the drama. You ain't seen nothing yet?
3 days later, we met. We ended up sleeping together. We met over a day nap. Now, I ain't take her out to dinner. One day I told her I was going on lunch. We ended up going back to the room. Her wedding ring fell out of her pocket. Yeah.
Wait, what?
Check this out. Mr. Johnson's showing off all his receipts, hunting screenshots from the dating site, showing Ms. Walters was still fishing there just days ago. The audience can't help but crack up. Wait till you see what's around the corner.
So you met on a dating site, but you didn't have any idea she was married?
No, it still says she's single on a dating site. On the same dating site. And she was on there 7 days ago.
You got all the receipts, huh?
All of it. Every screenshot.
Was Mr. Johnson the only man you were dating at this time?
Nope.
You gotta hear this. Mr. Johnson let slip that he's not just married, but also has a girlfriend on the side during his fling with Ms. Walters, which seriously muddies the water. The plot thickens, so keep your eyes peeled for what's up next.
Because every time I was in the car with her, she was telling me to hush up while she was on the phone with another dude.
What happened?
I just sat there, phone rings, I'm just cool, I'm chilling. Because the whole time I'm married. See, that's what she didn't know. I had a whole girlfriend.
And a whole girlfriend?
I'm married and got a girlfriend.
Where'd they do that?
Oh boy, here we go. Mr. Johnson talks about getting the "I'm pregnant" call from Ms. Walters, and his chill response was just to congratulate her, but she hinted the kiddo might be his. The twists keep coming, so don't wander off now.
She called me or whatever, and she said she was pregnant. I told her congratulations. She was like, I'm telling you because it might be yours. I'm like, what? 'Cause I bought a box of condoms as soon as I got to the city. You know what I'm saying?
So you're saying it was protected sex for you because you had already decided you were going.
I had a whole girlfriend and a wife. Why would I not use protection?
Hold the phone. They dive into whether their hookups were protected. Mr. Johnson swears they were, but Ms. Walters begs to differ. Grab your popcorn, because the next bit is a doozy.
You had protected sex with Ms. Walters. So when she calls you to say, I'm pregnant, your response is, congratulations.
I called Mr. Johnson after I spoke with my ex, and I let both of them know, like, hey, I messed with both of y'all around the same time. I'm pregnant. I'm not telling you that you're my child father, but I'm telling you that it's a possibility.
This part's a tearjerker. Mr. Johnson is getting all misty-eyed about the possibility of being Amer's pop, thinking about all the daddy-daughter time he's missed. This saga's about to hit a high note, so stick around.
You know, I want a daughter, but I don't want it like that.
You mean like that you've missed out 2 years of her life and that it happens an umbrella of a paternity so that you wanted to be
I don't want it out of just me just hanging out, kicking it with somebody. I didn't want it like that. I mean, if that's how it goes like that.
And here it is, the big moment.
It has been determined by this court. Johnson, you are not the father.